What's up, guys? Toby 50 Baits. Been missing a little while. Taking care of my dad. You still got your parents. Take care of them. But today we're gonna be shooting some 2.5-inch crappie molds, but we're gonna shoot the tail mold first. Well, we've already shot the tail mold. I didn't want to bore you with that part, but we shot the tail mold, and we get our tails. Put my caps back on because, like I told y'all before, I got my glasses on because I'm color matching. Got a guy that likes this size, but he wants to color match this. And after I spoke with him, I explained to him that I'm not going to laminate it because with this mold, if you laminate it, it seems to be side to side instead of top bottom. So he's cool with it. He's like, one color, boom. That's what we're going to do. When you shoot your tail mold, you're going to get these little tails here. This is Angling AI's tail mold and 2.5-inch grub. You see the little extra piece there? What that does is, when it's in your mold, it helps bond everything because the tail goes into the body and you have that little hole there. So the plastic can grab onto it better, come around it better. And we just place them in our mold. I don't want to drop them because I spent all that time putting them in there, but it goes into the body. So what happens is, if you just shoot the mold, say chartreuse is chartreuse with a little silver flake in it. If you shoot the mold and you just chop it off, what happens is, sometimes if you don't shoot it hot enough, you're not going to get a good bond between those two. So that's where the tail molds come in valuable. Now, once you've shot them and placed them in your tail mold, carefully put your top on or the other side of your mold, because what happens is it'll pinch some of them if they're not perfectly in there. It happens, you may pinch some tails or whatever. This is not my favorite mold to shoot. It is a pain at times, but it's a great bait. A lot of people like it. And again, we're going to be copying, basically we're just doing black with a ton of flake, gold. I may put a little silver in there as well. Better find this first. So anyway, we shot the tail mold with chartreuse with a little silver flake in it. And I am about to use every bit of gold I have because I have not paid attention and I am pretty much out of gold flake. So let that be a lesson if you're a bait maker or getting into it. Keep a check on your bait, your accessories that go with your bait making, because I didn't. So I am out. I don't know if I have enough. So I may have to use some of the cheap flake that I've talked about that I use for my stuff. We may have to use that to get by today. So remember to order. Remember. So I am like down to the end. I had package busted, so I wind up putting some in these little containers. And but the tail molds, like I said, if you just cut that bait off, you've got to hope you get a really good bond, because what'll happen, especially in your crappie baits or anything with a tail or even these claws on like the ecto, you don't get a great bond at times. So the tail mold that goes on up into the mold and your plastic can flow around it and attach those tails, make your baits stronger, last longer, a lot better. So make sure, if you're having to cut them and do it the way I'm talking about where it doesn't bond as good, cut them at an angle or a V shape or something to where you have more plastic, more room for that plastic to bond. The more plastic it can stick to, the better it'll bond. I do like the tail molds. It is a pain at times, especially shooting them and then taking them out, putting them in the other mold, but it makes a better bait. So all we did here is just some black. I didn't go real dark with it because it's going to be flake heavy, very flake heavy. And we have taken their molds and put them in my hole as usual. We're going to let this cool down some. make sure we have an injector ready. We do. And we're going to dump every bit of flake that I have, and then I may have to go looking for more. Because I'm not real bright and I haven't been keeping tabs on everything. So, we're going to dump it all. This is a flake heavy color. So if you get orders from someone, talk to them. Tell them what you can and can't do. Like I said, this mold laminates not right. Well, I ain't gonna say not right. If you laminate it the way it's laid out in the mold, you wind up getting a left and a right side instead of a top-bottom laminate. So we roll with what we got and told him what I can do, can't do, and he was fine with it. So there we go. I'm gonna put some small and some big in here. Different sizes of this gold. And hope that I have enough to achieve what I'm looking for. And I believe we have just enough. Like I said, very flake heavy color. I'm going to shoot them some more as well, but basically I just want to explain to you the tail molds, why they're valuable. I think because you don't have the problems of your baits pulling apart. We have a lot of people here that shoot docks. And what a lot of people do, and I do like to shoot it normal because of the tail mold. I don't have to shoot it as hot to make it bond. It's going to bond anyway because it goes around those tails. We're going to top her off there. That's our color. Probably could have went a little darker with the black, but I don't. As heavy as the flake is, I don't think we'll need it. So again, on the tail molds, these are some extra ones that I just haven't needed. Like I said, you get this extra piece here. That round hole allows that plastic flow into that. This tail mold actually reaches into the body of the grub body. So what that does is it can wrap around, plastic wraps around and just gives you a stronger tail. Like I said, we have guys that, I don't know if, I'm sure it's done everywhere else too, but we flip docks or shoot docks. So I grab the ball or the crappie jig that I'm using when we shoot it. Some guys grab the tail. Well, when they do that, they're ripping these off. So if you're shooting it and then cutting your tail and then shooting your second color, you're going to have problems with that happening, because guys are going to do what they're going to do. They're going to grab the tail of the bait to shoot it. I don't know why, but they do. So it messes their baits up. So you want a stronger bond, and that's where your tail molds come into place at for me. Just gives you a stronger bait, and it'll last longer, the tail will. And I've seen baits, even from the store, that have pulled apart. Don't know who they were or whatever, but anyway. So your tail molds are valuable for that, where that plastic goes around and grabs that tail. If you, like I said, if you just shoot it and stick it together, you're not going to get as strong of a bond. And of course it comes out on this side. And here's our finished product, and I'll sort of show you what I'm talking about. Well, try to show you what I'm talking about. You may not be able to see it in this bait, but when you put the tail in, grab these tails again because I wasn't thinking. This tail will actually, when you set it in back into your mold, which is a pain, it'll be tear one off. Good Lord. Not real good at this, huh? It actually reaches into the bait. So if you lay this thing in here perfectly, you can see how much longer that tail is. So that tail goes into the bait. So you're actually molding the plastic, like I said, around it. And you're going to get a lot better bond on your baits. your tails won't be coming off and making somebody mad because their bait is messed up. So, long runner on these. We'll of course save that, redo it, remelt it. But I am out of gold flake now, so keep check on your extra stuff. The color match he really wanted, instead of the laminate I talked to him about. Golly, I'm not focusing good, am I? There we go. Maybe that's a little better. It's going to be that color there. So we just decided to go black with the heavy gold flake. And he has been catching them on this. This is a 2.5 inch grub by Angling AI. Great mold. I love it when I'm throwing, especially in the springtime when they're up. I like throwing that bigger bait for springtime and fall when they move back up, which is about to happen. So that's why we're shooting a lot of crappie / crappie baits, again, depending on where you're from. I've got to shoot quite a few of these, so I'm going to put this mold back together. But when you're using your tail mold, you put them back, just make sure they're exactly where they need to be, because if not, they're going to pinch and make your tail look rough, make it look like it flashed almost. So tail molds, that's why they're valuable to me. Maybe it's easier to see that one. You can see, barely can see, that little circle in there. And that little circle, like I said, allows that plastic to wrap around that tail and make it stronger. You can cut them off for sure and do it. Not saying it can't be done, it does. I do it on some, you know, like these here. I don't have a claw mold, so if somebody wants claws made differently, then yeah, I'll cut it off, but I'll cut it off into the thicker part of the body, and that way it has more to grab hold to. If you just cut it right here in this thin part, you're going to have very little plastic to try and bond together. So it will pull apart, it will, because it just doesn't bond as good. So that's where the tail molds are valuable, especially these that wrap around. Even on the other, like the stinger style, it's a little bit longer, so it goes up into the body of the bait and plastic can get around it to hold it. So tail molds are valuable. Some people are like, I don't need it. If you're shooting straight just one color, then no, you don't. But like a pearl white or whatever, just do the whole bait. But when someone wants tails, especially if they're shooting docks, just makes your baits last a lot longer, especially if they're pulling on them. And the guys that shoot docks, like I said, they're bad about grabbing that tail instead of grabbing the jig head. So that's what tail molds are for. That's why they're valuable. Angling a 2.5 inch grub. I'm also going to be shooting some stingers, and also I am going to laminate in the other bait. This is 2.5 little shed body that I love, one of my favorites from Bass Tackle. I am going to laminate this color on top with chartreuse on the bottom. So, but anyway, I just want to show you the tail mold, what it does, how it makes a better tail, the bonding in there. This bait is dark, so you can't really see it, but because I know it's not going to focus for me, it's just the way it rolls. There it is. You might be able to see it right there. That's how far up in there that tail goes. So that plastic, again, wraps around there and just gives it a very good bond, and you're not going to pull that off near as easy as you would just trying to bond them together. Little tip for you guys that may not know, I'm sure a lot of you guys know this, but for the guys that don't, that's how you make a better bait. It's going to last longer. And I appreciate you being here. It's getting that time. Fall is just around the corner. Them slabs will be moving up a little bit, and everybody will be getting after them here. So, appreciate you watching. If you don't mind, give me a little like and subscribe, guys. It helps me out big time. We're growing, and I greatly appreciate you guys that have subscribed and watched the videos and comment or whatever else. And if you have any questions, again, I'll be glad to try to help you out. May not know an answer, but either way, it's time, getting that time to start catching them slabs. Have a good day, have a good weekend. It is Friday. And again, let's go catch some fish. See ya.